So about these poppy patches, they are a floral tribute that hopefully reminds us on an annual basis when they bloom of the sacrifices that our forebears made from an original idea I had, my colleague Martin Johnson, ably assisted by our horticultural expert who can't be with us today because he's out doing planting elsewhere, Mick Duffield, and you'll see his name on the thing as one of the creators. We hope to create these installations as an everyday place of remembrance across the ward. It's not designed to detract from any other memorial or time to replace any other date when remembrance takes place. These are additional tributes that we hope cause people to think of the changes that the Great War brought to everyday life 100 years ago. So this is your poppy patch. Use it whenever you want, leave a flower or a wreath, or just say a little prayer when you go down to get your papers. If we think that we live in eventful times today, and we're often shocked by the deeds on the news today, let me just sketch in for you what you could have expected to unfold over the next 2 weeks a century ago. A genocidal massacre of approximately 1 million Christian people. British, French, Australian and New Zealand troops were landing on beaches in the Dardanelles, which is North Turkey. They were conducting a doomed, some say botched plan, thought up by Winston Churchill no less, amongst others, and the place they landed was called Gallipoli. But 100 years ago, on May the 7th, 8 miles off of the coast of Ireland, which was then still part of the United Kingdom, a German U-boat sank the ocean-going liner Lusitania, with the loss of 1,194 innocent men, women and children. Then to top all that mayhem off, scientists and generals lost all sense of morality and decided to turn those bad dreams into the nightmare to end all nightmares, when 100 years ago, today, chemical weapons were used in modern warfare for the first time. German, and to be fair, Allied scientists had worked frantically racing each other to create new ways of being barbaric to each other, as we embarked on what was the first mechanized war on an industrial scale. Well, today is the day that Germany won that race, and in an act of unbridled cruelty, let loose a cloud of chlorine gas on British lines with devastating effect. Ladies and gentlemen, it was only last August that we opened the first poppy patch in Outwoods to commemorate the start of the war. 8 months ago. There would be 44 more months until we could celebrate the end of this war. The thoughts that must have petrified those back home, craving for sight of their loved ones, must have been what could possibly happen next, and how quick we learned the new tricks and played them on each other. We all like to portray an enemy as evil, rotten to the core, and not like us. But this thought has accompanied me since I wrote this. Would we, our side, would we have let loose that gas or pushed the button that fired that torpedo from that U-boat? That's what these poppy patches are for, to remind us, so that we don't forget who really pays the price. For my grandchildren, for your grandchildren, and for the children that should be here from Kirkhamgate Academy, let's not forget to remember. One of the regular features, as I said, of these openings is these memorials is a sample of the famous World War I poetry. The work in this instance is by Wilfred Owen, the great Wilfred Owen. The 5 9s referred to are the 5.9 caliber shells. The hoots are the noise that they made once they're fired through the air. Dulce, as I've been told to pronounce it, et decorum est, is Latin and translates into it is sweet and right. And pro patria more is Latin for to die for your country. Can I also remind you that at the end of the poem we'll be having a minute's silence. Bent double like old beggars under sacks, knock-kneed, coughing like old hags, we cursed through the sludge, till on our haunting flares we turned our backs, and towards our distant rest began to trudge. Men marched asleep, many had lost their boots, but limped on bloodshot, all went lame, all blind. Drunk with fatigue, deaf even to the hoots of tired outstripped 5 9s that had dropped behind. Gas, gas, quick boys, an ecstasy of fumbling, fitting the clumsy helmets just in time. But someone was still yelling and stumbling and floundering like a man in fire or in lime. Dim through the misty panes and thick green light, as under a green sea I saw him drowning. In all my dreams, before my helpless sight, he plunges at me, guttering, choking, drowning. If in some smothering dream you too could pace, behind the wagon we flung him in, and watched the white eyes writhing in his face, his hanging face, like a devil's sick of sin. If you could hear at every jolt the blood come gargling from the froth-corrupted lungs, obscene as cancer, bitter as the cud, of vile incurable sores on innocent tongues. My friend, you would not tell with such high zest to children ardent for some desperate glory the old lie, dulce et decorum est, pro patria more.
They shall not grow old, as we are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, or the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
I'd like to ask Richard Oldroyd to step forward now and say a few words, the minister from Lindale Methodist.
When we normally gather here for remembrance, it's usually freezing cold, pouring with rain, and almost dark. Remembrance Sunday, so it's good to be here when it's on a beautiful spring day. When we gather to remember, we remember the names of the people who were listed on the memorial there. We have their names and we haven't got their ages, but most of them would be only a few years older than the children at the school along here. And when we gather to remember, we do so not to glorify or celebrate war, but to remember its cost. Millions of young men with all their lives ahead of them, snuffed out, and all the potential within them never realised and destroyed. Jesus said, "Blessed are the peacemakers." So when we're going about our daily lives to the shop, wherever we may be going, and we pass this poppy memorial here, may it be also not just a remembrance of the cost of people's lives so that we can have freedom, but may it also be a reminder for me and each of us to continue to seek peace and reconciliation in places where we can have influence. And that would be, I think, a great thing.
I'd now like to introduce the Mayor of Wakefield, Councillor Sandra Picking, ladies and gentlemen.
Can I just say thank you, Councillor Keith and Councillor Johnson, for inviting me here today. As Charlie has just said, I am the Armed Forces Champion for Wakefield, and it's an honour and a privilege to open this poppy patch today in memory of all conflicts, all wars, everybody that lost their lives for us. And it's nice that somebody else is doing another patch all around the country to say, when you walk past this, to remember them that went before you, because we should never ever forget what happened in any war, no matter where we are. And so just big thank you, and thank you to Mick, who was not here today, for organising it. Thank you to everybody for attending this morning. It's nice to see other people come, and especially the oldest lady in the village, or near the oldest lady in the village, Vera. It's a pleasure to meet you, love, and I'll see you in a minute. Thank you ever so much. I will now declare the poppy patch open.
We're going to ask Vera to place the wreath, if you would, as a representative of the village of Kirkhamgate.